It Happened on the Job, the podcast for relatable conversations with contractors. Sponsored by Goodman Insurance.
Welcome to It Happened on the Job. We are your podcast for relevant conversations, maybe some relatable conversations with contractors. Hopefully bringing a little entertainment to you as well. My name is Mike. That's Brian.
Yo.
Our guest today, episode 81, is Jessica Madrigal, Vice President of Bjork Construction. How are you doing, Jessica?
I'm good today. It's Friday.
It is Friday. It's
Friday.
Fridays are good. Fridays, except when we do podcasts on Fridays, we have to wear collared shirts where normally we'd be in shorts and t-shirts. Yeah. So
we're pushing the shorts
we dressed
underneath
up.
the table.
Yeah, we dressed up for you today on a casual Friday.
And I did not, so I apologize.
No, it's Friday.
We're compensating.
Yeah. Very good. Well, thanks for joining us. Appreciate you taking the time to hang out with us for a little bit here. Kind of how we get all these started. If you could give us a little history on how you got started in the industry and the road to where you are as vice president now.
So I actually grew up in a construction family. Bjork Construction was started by my mom and dad in 1988.
Oh, wow.
When I was little, I never imagined myself being a part of the company, but my life was the company. We were small, very small. So, we were in the office all the time, right. With our parents. There's three of us. I have a brother and a sister. So we, Saturdays we're going to the job sites with my dad delivering lumber. And then once I got a little older, I started doing billings in the office. And then I went off to college to be a cop. I really wanted to be in law enforcement. Then I realized at that time I was young, and all I was really focusing on was that paycheck. And I wasn't really happy with what cops got paid. So I was like, oh, this is not what I want to do.
Did you actually get through everything? Like,
no, it was my first
you were just
year.
doing the research. Okay. Yeah.
It was my first year, so I just kind of, sat there and I was like, what's the highest paid you get out of college? And, Google at that time was great. And it was like, project managers in construction. They were the highest paid. And I was like, I'm going to do that.
That's convenient. Yeah.
And at that time, I didn't even think about being part of the company. It wasn't even like that. It was just, they got paid the most. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I went off to Chico State, got my BS there in construction management. I just got my master's in construction management from Arizona State.
Wow. Congratulations.
And thank you. And so I actually ended up working for Cupertino Electric out of college. Then I moved to Boyette Construction in Hayward, and I loved Boyette. But at that time, I graduated in 2009, so that was not a really good time to graduate.
Right, yeah.
So we're not
especially looking for a high-paying job, right? Yeah.
No, they weren't paying well. I was lucky to.
Yeah.
So when I got a job with Boyette, I was lucky, but I wasn't getting paid well, and nobody was. So It's nothing until Boyette, but nobody was. And at that time, our company was, hit just like every company. And my mom had asked me and my cousin to come work for her. I said no, I think about 4 times.
For what reason?
You ever worked with your family?
Oh, yeah.
Well, so I mean, my mom and my wife both work in insurance together, but with a different company. And so, yeah, I mean, I would never do it. I just wanted to make sure that I didn't know if that was the same reason you had as well. I didn't know if there was something else.
Yeah, no, I would never, I never had imagined doing it. Right. That's the reason I pushed it. But I could see that they really needed help to try and keep costs low, but keep running. And, me and my cousin, we were young and dumb and we were cheap. So we ended up working for them, and we ended up, I have to say, my mom is very, she can pivot very well within our industry and how it's going. So she ended up getting into a HUD program for general contractors that kept us going through that time. And it kept us all with paychecks and food in our mouths. So we were happy. And I ended up just kind of realizing that I could grow a lot there. I had a lot more freedom there. So I ended up staying and growing, and I started estimating more, getting more involved in, I guess, the pre-construction aspect of things, meeting more one-on-one with clients. And from there, it just kind of grew for me personally. And I think a lot of that, my parents kind of just gave me free range, to be quite honest, to kind of do that. With that though, I learned a lot. I made a lot of mistakes. So that's been good. But I've had what I can say is the best support to grow as far as I have. And
well, I have to imagine some of that freedom probably came from the fact that you took it upon yourself to get that education that you got and work in other places, right? It wasn't graduate high school. Hey, mom and dad, can you give me a job, please? And support, you know what I mean? Like you took the steps and had that initiative to do it on your own. So I feel like, I mean, if I were your parents, it'd probably be like, yeah, I mean, come do what you need to do here. Help us out. You know, You have free reign to do what you need to do because you've taken those steps and you have that experience outside of just.
Yeah. I think too I'm going to tell you too, is I think working for other people, it's given me an advantage. I've seen how other companies run. I've learned a lot from other companies and what I think are good and bad. And
things to do and things not to do. Yeah.
Yes. And I think we've taken that. And then, my parents, they've been doing it the same way for a long time. And sometimes bringing in other people, younger management, which they've allowed me to do. I think that's helped us. Construction's changed so much in the last 10 years. So I think,
right. Well, here we are on a podcast talking about construction, right? I mean, that's, we laugh about it, right? But that's kind of the reason why we're doing what we're doing. And because not only do we see it changing, but we want to start pushing that change as well. Like we're on the side of, hey, let's push the change towards this. You can call it younger if you want. I feel like old people can learn about podcasts and social media too. But just that more progressive push towards construction, but for sure.
Well, yeah, you got, my foreman out there walking around with iPads.
Right.
I could have never imagined that when I started.
Yeah.
So it's changed a lot, and it's been a great change though, I think.
Oh, for sure. So I guess if we go back a little bit to when you graduated college or come out of college with your construction management, did the thought even cross your mind to come work for your parents' company, or it's just, even though you were in the same line of work, it was just no chance. I want to go get other life experiences.
Yeah. And I think too, just my personality, I don't like, and I'm going to be honest, it's something that hinders in me personally is I hate being the owner's daughter. I'm now an owner, but people don't know that. And they always think of you as the owner's kid, right? So
right.
And that really is something that I don't like, because at the end of the day, I'm working harder than everyone else.
Right.
But they think you got the silver spoon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That bothers me. So that was something that I immediately never wanted. And so I think I've also worked really, really hard within my staff to make sure they know that, I didn't get here because they just gave me a title. I think I've gained that respect, but it took a lot of work. I work with a lot of older gentlemen, and, our industry has changed, but unfortunately it's still the good old boys club.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I hope we get to the point where we can unpack a little bit of that today too, because we've had plenty of females on here, and I think speaking to the progression and the technology and the social media and the transparency and all those other things that are in construction, I think obviously the women in construction is another one of those things too. But kind of just, if we can go back a little bit to what are some of the things that you've done that you brought to the company and, over the last few years since you've joined that have kind of helped, I guess, what are the things that you've done to kind of, change or grow or do whatever to the company?
So we are a general contractor, but we also have in-house staff. We have in-house framers, and in the past, we did framing for other companies as needed, because we got to keep our guys busy if we didn't have this job. But I ended up starting to take on more framing jobs. We saw a need for it. In the downturn, it seemed like I almost thought wood framing was going to disappear forever, because everything was going metal studs. Everything was, is a kind of this weird change, and people weren't building new. They were all remodeling, tenant improvements. So there's not really that, you don't see wood too much in that. And then all of a sudden we started seeing, I'll never forget, and it's the smallest job ever, but I got sent plans to build planter boxes. Now they're beautiful planter boxes, and they were for a Facebook campus, but I'll never forget, I bring it to the bid meeting, and my dad goes, "You want me to do what?" And I said,
"Yeah, because we're gonna sell them on Etsy, Dad."
Yes, and that's what I think he thought. He's like, "What do you mean? Is this a joke? Is it?" And he's like, "No, I'm not doing it." And I just said, "Screw it. I'll bid it myself. I'll do it." And we ended up bidding it to somebody, and we are today going on 6.5 years with this company of doing not just planter boxes, decks, trellises. We're doing all of the campuses, outdoor hardscape campuses for all, Google, all those people.
Not
and that's something
gig.
that we would have never done unless I took that chance. So that's something I think, but as a company too, I feel that a lot of people in our company, we're not scared or pushed away by the weirdness. We kind of like it. So we'll take on those jobs. But I think I've brought in clients that I think we would have never brought in before, just based on doing, it was $100,000 job. It was tiny, but it opened that door.
Right. Mm-hmm. And that was for another general contractor that needed you guys to do those boxes? Okay.
Yeah.
And so now that's the reoccurring work that you have then, is working for that general contractor?
Yes.
Very cool. What is your framing staff? Is framing the only trade you guys self-perform?
Yeah, framing is all we do in-house.
And what's the labor force look like? How many people do you have underneath you?
Our low time's usually 50 guys. Our high time's 120.
Wow, that's a lot of just framers.
Yeah.
How involved are you with the hiring process of that labor force?
I do not hire any of our journeymen or apprentice. That's all of our foremen. That's their expertise. They have to see them, so that's them. I do the safety meetings with them sometimes, and I do try and get to know everyone's name. That's kind of important to me. Right. I know that's probably weird, but I do like to get out there. I visit the site. So I don't hire them, but I definitely check in on them. And then if there's issues, I'm usually involved with that.
Yeah. So from a hiring standpoint, maybe if you're not involved in the process, but are you aware of maybe the issues that are involved?
Process?
Yeah. Framing is a pretty specialized kind of thing. And it's not one of those things that you want to bring somebody brand new on, right? Like from the insurance side, I know that framing is one of those really high risk jobs. And so not only safety, but experience and stuff. So I guess long and short of it is those guys that are doing the hiring, what is it? How are they feeling any sort of labor shortage? Are they feeling pressure to find guys, or what is it like trying to find people to do that?
We have what I call like our core. We have our 50 core, and then we have our ones that, they've worked for us before, they're off 6 months. So we have what we call like our guys on the bench is what we call them.
Right. Yeah.
And if they're not available, yes, our guys have felt that stress, but I have to say most of the time the hiring is done, at least picking the guys on who to send to the office to go through the hiring process. It's mostly word of mouth. It's calling in the union. Yes, you have to do that when you need to, but mostly if a job's ramping up and we know that foreman has enough contacts to get those guys, send them to the office to go through their, safety, the drug testing, all that good stuff, and then send them out to the job. So that's the foreman. When they start feeling pressure and they know they can't fulfill it, I've had, I have to say as a company, our field crew really works as a team, regardless on what job they are. So sometimes like my guys on one job can say, hey, I can let these 5 go if you need them. So it's really hiring them. It's who you know. Yes, you have to go to the hall, but a lot of it's word of mouth, and it's also support from other superintendents or foremen within our company.
What are you guys doing from an employee benefits standpoint? Because I have to imagine that to be able to have guys that aren't working for you available, at a phone call, you've got to do something to treat them right? Otherwise, when you let them go, they're not answering your phone call back. So that really speaks to me. It tells me you guys are doing something. So maybe you can speak to some of those things that you guys are doing.
Well, we pay. So there's this new law being put in place in the state of California for all public works jobs where they have to have their apprentice card. And if they do that and they provide it to us, it helps us get these public work jobs. So we pay $2 over scale to anybody that has their apprenticeship card. Not only that, we're family owned and operated, and a lot of it goes on relationships with these guys.
Right.
And we create the relationship. They can always, and the thing is too, is these guys are good enough. They can go walk and get a job tomorrow. And I think but them coming back to us, I think that has a lot to do with their foreman and the relationship, the foreman as a company, I can give them more money, but they're getting that relationship from their foreman. I think too, the other thing is we are really, really, really safety oriented. that is the number one thing. And I think that they know we care about them. We want them to go home to their families at night. So that's maybe another thing. I'm not knocking any other company. I don't know what they do, and then we also have, we have a safety program that's fun. We call it Safety Bucks, and we do stuff like that. And I think we recognize our guys that are working their asses off every day really well within our company. So I hope that attests to why these guys come back, but a lot of it is relationships with our superintendents, foremen. I've had some of our carpenters have been here. Our longest standing is 26 years.
Jeez.
And then, but a lot of these guys, they stay. We are not one to, we don't have turnover that often.
Yeah.
Yes, we do. It's construction. You have good times and bad times, but our core guys, most of them, they've been here years.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah. I mean, there's I go back to the safety a little bit, because there's one thing to say, hey, we care about safety, and like, hey, read this flyer, or, read this, this meeting or note or whatever, and kind of do that kind of stuff and go through we have safety, but to actually put those programs in place and actually, be practicing it on a daily basis, I think is pretty important there and pretty key to what you guys are doing. If you could, I know you said you came over with your cousins. Are your brother and sister involved? Are your cousins still involved in the business at all?
Yeah, so it's just one cousin. My cousin, he's one of our estimators. He's still there. My sister has nothing to do with the company. She wants nothing to do with any of it. She actually works for Hilti. So she's in construction, just not with us. And then my brother is a carpenter within the company.
Oh, very cool. That's fun.
That's funny.
Yeah, no, it's funny that you have
almost similar story, but
So there's no chance she ever comes over, huh?
In her words, no way in hell.
It probably makes for a lot more peaceful Thanksgiving and Christmas dinners, right? I mean, if they're...
Well, I'll tell you, from her point of view, all we do is talk about the company. So if we have dinners and it's my whole family, she'll literally announce, if you guys are going to talk shop, I'm leaving.
So that's funny. I told you my mom and my wife are in the same company together. My mom lives with us, and when they get home, they literally sit 100 yards apart from each other in the office, 50 yards apart. But when they get home, all they do is talk about the office, and I'll literally look at them and I'll pause the TV or do whatever and just stare at them and say, we'll wait till you're done. We'll wait.
That would be something my sister would do.
You've had all day, but I guess we'll wait. Yeah. Yeah. No, I feel for your sister. I'm there every night. So what does your management staff look like? What is your, I guess maybe not management, but your executive staff look like? Who do you guys turn to, when you've got important decisions to make, and how does that process work between you guys?
So Jean Bjork, AKA my mom, she's the CEO. She oversees, she's like the top of the triangle. I am vice president. And then underneath me, I have 5 project managers. And then underneath them are the superintendents and then our foremen. So we do, but I have to say, it's not this triangle. That's not really how we run it.
Right.
It's just how it's
more chain of command. Yeah.
Yeah, more chain of command, because we're very open door. But we also really, really encourage in our company, like, if you guys can work it out or you feel that you're doing it just fine between yourselves, we encourage that. We want them to be accountable, make those decisions. If the project managers feel that it's time for upper management to step in, if it's more change orders, money, that type of stuff, contracts, I'll do that first step of it. That's where I kind of step in on that day-to-day issue. Jean steps in when I'm getting to the point now of like, hey, Jean, I think this is where you need to make the call. But on a day-to-day, there's not a lot of that. It's more of, the project managers work really, really hard to mitigate, make sure our clients are happy. The biggest issue is getting paid, but I think anybody experiences that. In terms of like employee issues, that's all HR. I don't want to deal with that. I would probably get us sued. So I don't do any of that stuff. That's our HR manager, and she handles that stuff beautifully. So I kind of, we're really not a hierarchy company. We're very linear.
Yeah.
Open door policy, 110%. You can walk into anyone's office at any time. So that's kind of how we roll.
Oh, I think it's great. What is, have you guys been over the last few months through COVID and as all this other crap that's going on. And from not only from an operations standpoint and a workflow standpoint, but from an employee morale standpoint, I don't know if you guys had to shut down at all, or if you were able to keep. I know you guys are up in the Bay Area, right?
Yes, we are.
A lot of your work up there. So I think you guys were shut down physically, right? Like for a couple of weeks at least.
Well, we were really blessed in. We were shut down at a period of actually the field was shut down. So let me step back. COVID happened. We got the notice. Mm-hmm. Everything shuts down. We did have 2 weeks where everything was shut down. We're trying to figure out as a company what the hell is going on, what you need to do, how your employees.
The regulations that were changed every hour. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a clusterfuck in my opinion. Yeah. It was horrible trying to figure out what to do. Well, then certain cities mandated, hey, these are called essential, and that's public works, low-income housing. Well, I feel that we were very, very blessed that we were doing low-income housing for a portion of our work, one of our largest jobs. So I was able to get 38 of our guys back to work within 2 weeks. Our office never stopped. We never, ever stopped at all. Our PMs kept working because regardless of stuff going, essentially, there was still paperwork.
Yeah. Future jobs and things to get squared away. Yeah.
Our estimators never stopped. It was weird because it was like that frozen 2 weeks and then it was slowly rolling back into it. We had to transition very much as a company to all of a sudden I had to buy laptops for everyone so they could work from home. Our IT guy was going insane trying to set them all up.
Set everybody up. Yeah.
Yeah. And so.
See, at least you bought them laptops. Our bosses said, hey, pack up your PC and take it all home. We're literally walking out. We were taking big PC units with double monitors out
of the car.
Putting them on your office chair and rolling them out into the. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's funny. No, I just said, here's a laptop. And then we learned in that moment, we're never buying a desktop again.
Ever again, right? Yeah.
There's no need. Yeah.
So then, we had to get all of our COVID stuff in order too. That was a big part of it because you're getting guys back into the field, right? So you have to figure out how that all works out there. So between myself and our safety manager, we had to create all these new safety protocol, and then you couldn't find hand sanitizer or Lysol anywhere. So that was fun. So, just working through all that weird stuff, but we were able to get out of, I would say 65% of our jobs were still continuing. So we also did get the PPE loan through the government to help in that time so that we could pay our employees through this time.
Yeah.
Our employees' morale, I've never had so many thank yous. And people seem to be very appreciative of, I think they knew we were working our asses off to do what we could to keep them. We know they have mouths to feed at home.
Yep.
We know they have mortgages. And so I think, I did have actual, and this is no lie, we have our office has 2 staff that's been with us forever. We took pay cuts as owners. We stopped paying ourselves for a little bit. And I had 2 people actually step up and tell me that I could cut their pay in half.
Wow.
So it just showed me who, these people care a lot and they're here. They're part of the Bjork family. And that's how I really feel.
Well, it goes to show like you treat your people right and they're going to do things for you when things get a little bit tough or, things get a little bit sideways. No, that's very cool. I don't think we've had a story like that. That's awesome.
Well, and I think it helps with the staff knowing, that the office is looking out for them, the field guys, and that they can, at least those crews, they know that you're trying to figure out a way for them to keep working, that they can come back to work, they can feed their families. Yep. Yeah. I mean, it's a terrible situation, but at the same time, it's a way it sounds like that you guys are actually showing how that turnover rate is so low because you have people from the high up to even the low that are willing to come together and figure out a way. Yeah. It's a family. It's cool.
Very cool. So kind of, how is it like, not so much how it's like, I'm sure we know what it's like, but let's hear your experience in working with subcontractors at the volume that you guys do and managing them from not only from an expectation standpoint, but from all the other issues that go into managing subs.
So subcontractors have been interesting in the last couple of years. We've gained a lot of new subcontractors, and then in COVID, we've had a couple of subcontractors go bankrupt.
Yeah.
So that's been a new experience for me that we haven't, I've always had people retire. They tell us they're closing down. They give you, notice, that type of thing. But for the most part, we are, let me just start from our process, I guess. So whenever we get a new subcontractor, they have to do their pre-qual with us. We have to go through all their financials. We get references. Then we onboard them. And when I mean onboard, it's not through paper. I'm old school. Come into my office and meet with me. The reason that we are kind of like this is I always believe that a sub is an extension of you. They represent you. So I need to make sure that they're going to keep our clients very happy. 90% of our clients are return clients. And so that's really important to us. We want to make sure that they're happy with us. So the sub needs to represent us in a good way. We always do what we call the tester job with some subs is we give them very small projects to start with, to see how those roll, to see how they're attentive, take care of
planter
things.
boxes.
Yes, like planter boxes. And so we do that. And then we've created relationships. We have some subs that have worked for us for 10, 15 years. I've had subs that, have retired, obviously, but we like to keep those relationships. But with subs, just like we get, we have to bid against other framers for our generals. We have to price check them, make sure that they're giving our clients the best pricing. So we do that. And sometimes that creates a rift because they think that you don't like them or whatever. Right. It becomes personal and it's just business. It's just, I have to make sure that we're giving our client the best price at the end of the day. So we do that. And then we get started enrolling, insurance in place, all the good stuff. And a lot of times, where I get to hear about my subs more, because I don't deal with them on a day-to-day basis, is in our post-construction meetings. Every time that we have a post-construction job meeting. Every time we finish a job, we have a meeting with everyone to go through that job, because every job is a learning experience. The cool thing.
Are you talking about just your company or your client as well?
No, just our company.
Just internal. Okay.
Just internal. And the reason we do that is nothing's ever the same in construction. Nothing ever goes as planned. So we learn from them. And that's when I get the feedback of like, hey, this sub did a great job. Never use this sub again. So that kind of good stuff. And that's how, that's my feed with them. I don't do the day-to-day with them. That's more our project managers. I'm more of the pre-qual, making sure they got good financials, making sure they meet the needs of our clients. The other thing that's been a big task lately that we've seen a lot of is a lot of people's EMR rates are too high. And I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know, we have some great subs that I'm unfortunately not able to use right now until their EMR rate goes down. So that's another hard part.
Is that because of the public works stuff that they require, or you guys have an internal policy?
Yeah, if you're over 1, we're not comfortable with you unless you give us substantial backup, which some of the companies do, and they have legit reasons. I've been over 1. I have, and I had to prove it all too. So we just kind of go through those steps with them, and some of them aren't willing to do that. We do work with some smaller subs as well as larger subs. So we just it depends on how willingness they are to work.
Those ones that are over 1, just send them our way. We'll help them out for you. Just FYI. Little shameless plug there for you. No,
I like it.
I think going back to that post job meeting, I think that's phenomenal. Yeah, I'm sure
it makes so much sense. It's very simple.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of companies that obviously have that communication, right? Hey, this guy's doing a great job for us, or this guy sucks, or this happened on this job or whatever. But it's probably through the process, right? I don't know that I've ever heard of anybody actually being deliberate about every single job and being deliberate about sitting down and going through everything. Do you have your PMs and your supers and all that kind of, are they taking notes throughout the job process? Do you ask them to do that so that at that job meeting, or is it just all kind of, yeah?
No,
I was gonna say, I figure I knew the answer to that, but I mean, you seem very organized and very,
oh, thank you.
You know what I mean? Like I can't imagine you just kind of go, what's the things? What are some things that happen? No, you're pretty deliberate about it, I assume.
They keep notes. We call learning lessons. And learning lessons can be anything from stupid stuff that we did. We screwed up too. And that's one thing I like about my crew is they have no problem saying, hey, I screwed this up, but moving forward, this is how we can fix it.
Yep.
And we get a lot of that in that post-construction meeting. We get a lot of quality control items that we've never thought of, like, oh, this happened. So that kind of takes place, but I'm not going to say it's like this great organized thing. No, sometimes, depending on the person, like my superintendent, one of them I'll love. He always just walks in and goes, they all suck. So it just depends on personality, and you got to take all the feedback with a grain of salt, right? Depending on how the job ended. And I always say it's how you end a job, not how you start a job. So
that's the lasting impression, right? Especially to the client. Yeah.
So where's that transition from when you meet with the sub, go over their financials, kind of do that pre-qual to, are they meeting with your project managers? Where is that transition to actually you bringing them on as a sub that's working with Bjork?
Once their pre-qual's approved, I meet with them, then I'll say, hey, this sub's good to go. Then it's turned over to the estimator. The estimator is going to work with them and go through. And I've had estimators straight up say, I'm not using this guy. They're not detailed. They don't go through the plans. They're scary. Like, I'm not, no. So it's the estimator that usually will onboard them. Keeping the relationship, it's usually the project manager.
Yeah.
And then the project manager will let the estimator know, hey, it was good, it wasn't good, that type of thing.
Yeah. That's kind of cool. That's 2 layers of basically pre-qual before they get to that part. Yeah. So you make sure their affairs are in order, and then you get to that point. And then you have that post side of things to make sure that, that's cool. I haven't heard that's very organized and makes a lot of sense. And
so you spoke to kind of chasing money being an issue that you got, obviously, and we hear that. I mean, obviously that's a contractor thing, right? I mean, that's I don't think that's going to go away anytime soon, but are there any other issues that you guys have to deal with on a daily basis that, and if so, like, what are you doing to kind of get through them?
Well, the biggest thing right now that my favorite word that I hate is the PCO, the possible change order, right? Submit me your PCO and I'm going to approve it. That is my biggest pet peeve right now. Because a PCO is usually a legitimate change order, but we're going to call it a PCO and then we're going to reject it after you did it. That's the biggest challenge I see monetary wise right now within the industry that we're dealing with currently with our clients is, give me a PCO number, you're approved to do the work, but then let's negotiate about it after. That's where I really just
seems like a pretty sound way to do business, right? Just on a whim and not without any structure. Yeah.
Correct. And then, then you get the PMs that are trying to be strategic and say, okay, I know they're going to do this, so I'm going to bid it heavy because I know I have to negotiate it down. Then you look bad, right? Because you're like, why is your price so high? And it's like, well, so it's that.
Well, and there's something to be said for somebody who's able to knock 10% off every single time through a negotiation, right? I mean, you're obviously padding a number at that point, right? Like or you're not making money. So, but you don't want somebody working for you that's not making money either, right? I mean, but anyway.
It is. So it's that hard one. So, that's the biggest thing I see right now that I hate. Collections is always fun. But that other challenge that I just know personally, because I deal with a lot of our vendors and keeping sure, vendors, they have 30-day payment terms, right? And a lot of them, like Whitecap or these bigger companies, they have a policy where it is just straight up 30 days period.
Well, yeah. I mean, the money sits in their investment accounts as long as it possibly can. Yeah.
And
you give them 30 days, they're going to take all 30 days. Yeah.
I don't know none of my clients pay in 30 days.
Yeah.
So that's that hard factor of floating that money in between because you're having to pay ahead of time than getting paid. So it's that, I think every construction company deals with that. So that's always fun. But those are just the 2 challenges I see the most.
Mm-hmm. How involved are you in chasing money?
That's my job.
How much things? Yeah. So I know. I mean, there's some people that actually really, really enjoy it. So I mean, is it something you dread, or do you kind of enjoy making those phone calls?
I don't dread it because it's become. At first, I did, and I was really bad at it. I think because I, come in like all huffy and puffy, and it's like,
right.
You don't need to do that. It's a simple conversation. The biggest thing is I just knowing that I need to do it because I have to keep the money going. That's pretty much all that matters. Right. And the phone calls have now become much different as I've gotten older and gotten more sophisticated with them. And 2, I think it's the relationships. As long as you can keep professional civil relationships with these people, they know where you're coming from. They know that they owe you money. It's not, it's just settling on that final number that's always the problem.
Yeah. So kind of shifting gears a little bit, I find it both cool and a little bit it kind of boggles my mind a little, or not puzzle, a little bit cool and a little bit puzzling. We'll put it that way. That, you know, through the conflicts, just some things that you struggle with, the fact that being a woman and the owner's daughter, or, you know, that's not something that come up. So how did you, obviously, how did you get over those hurdles? What did you do to kind of gain that respect in the industry, having both of those, I guess, detrimental factors, if you will, or the things that take away a little bit from the...
Well, first I'll start off as just being woman, daughter. When I first came in, pretty much everyone thought I was stupid, like straight up.
I have to imagine, yeah.
Didn't know anything, and I didn't. I was young and dumb, so I'm not going to sit here and say I did. But I think the biggest thing that I did was I took a lot of time in the field at first, which probably isn't how most people do it, to actually learn the applications, understand the process of how these things come together. I got a lot of experience of that too when I was little, because I was out there. Was I applying it then? No, but looking back, I think that's why I understand things a little bit more now. And working more with the field staff has been a big factor in that, because PMs, yes, we're paperwork, but you still need to know what you're talking about. You still need to understand how it all comes together, what it affects, who it affects, what changes are made. So I think it took years, you know, just learning and redoing and making mistakes and asking a ton of questions, a shit ton of questions. I know I annoy a lot of my superintendents at first, just with all the questions. I had so many questions. How does this put together? Why do you build it like that? You know, like, those are dumb questions and they shouldn't be asked, but you got to ask them. And
but I feel like they shouldn't. I mean, somebody probably doesn't expect them to be asked by somebody who has been sitting in the VP title for a certain number of years. But if you're just coming into the business and wanting to learn, sure, it can be annoying, right? I'm sure from a superintendent or project manager, they might find it a bit like, geez, this girl doesn't stop asking questions. But somewhere in the back of their mind, I'm sure it's also, hey, she's asking these questions because she wants to learn, right? Like, first couple questions might be annoying, but after 5, 6, 7, it might be like, hey, she actually wants to learn, and there might be a level of respect that's gained there. So I think that's key as well.
And I think that's, and I'm past that now, thank gosh. But into a lot of it is I took the time to really dig into plans, really understand.
That's a big dog. Is that a dog or a mini horse?
It's a dog. It's just a big dog. So I just took the time and digging in. And once I kind of learned how everything went together in the process. And the other thing is a lot of it, and I know this will probably get knocked by the field guys, but there's a lot of education in it. Understanding legally how things work in the back end has a lot to do with how you can approach a change order, how you can approach an RFI, those type of things. So I felt like it was connecting the dots for me. And it's like, once they all hit, I was in a much more comfortable situation for myself. I was way more confident too, of like, hey, I know what I'm doing. So if you want to talk down to me, that's great today. But I didn't feel I needed to prove myself either. So I would let them kind of talk the way they wanted or do whatever they want and then move past it. And I think that came with maturity, because when I was young, it's like, I'm going to tell you I know it because I know it. And now as you gain that, it's like, I don't need to prove to you anymore. You can say what you need to say. We'll get through it. And then we'll get to the solution. And I think that's maturity too.
I was going to say that's not me. Yeah. That's, you're a better person than I am. I'd be yelling at them if they told me that I didn't know what I was doing.
That's true.
Yeah. So kind of one thing that we like to talk about with a lot of our guests, is just because we're doing this in a podcast format, is, digital marketing and marketing in general. I can't imagine. I mean, there's not many, public works people, owners, building, or investors or whatever, that are looking at social media to find their next contractor like a homeowner would. But is that something you guys have looked into at all, or are you doing, or in what way?
So I'm just going to be honest, right? I don't think marketing for a construction company in the realm that I'm in does anything for us.
And that's kind of where I was going with that. Yeah. Like yesterday we had a guy on that does residential landscaping, right? And I mean, he started an Instagram and did a bunch of other stuff and went from $500,000 to $4.5 million over a year. But it's a totally different buyer, right? So that's kind of where I was getting at with that. Yeah,
90% of their business is repeat business. Right. It's previous clients and those relationships.
And our new clients, they don't come to me because of an Instagram or a Facebook post. Because when you're talking millions of dollars, they're coming to me because somebody gave them a word of mouth that this company is a good company. They'll take care of you. Mm-hmm. So that's a really big focus in marketing for me. How I see it is the repeat customers, 100%. And the new customers I do get usually come from people that I'm already working for.
So that's, you guys are just relationship focused at that point and not really having a huge marketing budget on that side.
I don't want to say we are. I am. Jean, she is really all about social media, getting it out there, and I support that fully. I just
your mom is the one about social media, and you're the one that's relationship driven.
Yeah, I'm an old soul, I think.
I was going to say that's totally flipped from a generational standpoint. I love that.
Yeah.
So where was that switch? Because you had earlier mentioned that when you were little, that it was a small company, but was it the planter boxes? I mean, what was that? What was that switch in terms of revenue? Because it sounds like you guys are a whole lot bigger than where you were at back then.
So when I started, and I'll just be completely honest with that, when I started at Bjork, we were doing $1.5 million a year.
Okay.
This year we're going to hit 30 million.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Jeez.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we have grown, and that point, I think, was really when the industry started picking up. It was a downfall, and a lot of companies went out of business in that downfall, and we didn't. We were still standing. And so we hit that upswing when all of them were going up. I really believe it's right timing. We were just there at the right time.
Well, you were one of few, and you were doing a great job, right? I mean, you were,
Yes. And I think that had a lot to do with it. And I think, we've had growing pains, and they've been fun. I used to do 17 jobs, and now I don't. I have actual people that do those. So that was like a huge change for me personally. And I know it was for Jean. She used to do a lot more too. And it's like, oh, we have an HR manager now. We have a safety manager now. These are things we did together.
Was that freeing to let that go, or was it difficult, or was it both?
I think my mom was like, yes, take it.
Get it out.
I'm a control freak. So for me, it was really hard because it's like, are they going to do it right? Did they do it right? Are they handling it right? So I had that hard, that was hard for me at first. But as I've worked with them, I'm much more comfortable. And as I've gotten to know them, and they know that, they care for the company, and that's really what matters. They care for the employee. They care at the end of the day. That's all that matters.
Wow. So what were some of this, if there was a system or two, or something that you had to put in place to allow yourself to grow? Were there things, I mean, outside of just obviously hiring people to help you guys grow, but were there, operational systems that had to be put in place?
Oh yeah. So imagine you're a family company. Half the people there have worked there for 20 years. So they are family. And then the other half are family. So like standards of procedures did not exist.
Yeah, they were just all right here, right? Yeah. Yeah,
like there was yelling in the office. It was horrible. I couldn't hire someone and not get sued at that time, So it was, we had to change a lot, and we know that, and we're still working on it every day. We're getting there. We had to put those procedures in place because too, the other thing is when you get in that family mentality, the consistency is kind of lost, right? Oh, right. Well, that's Brian. He can do that. It's fine. No, you can't do that once you get to this level. It's got to be consistent. We have to make sure we're treating everyone the same. And that was a big change for us personally. Also making sure that there's literally a procedure for everything now.
Right.
And that's weird to me, but it's needed, and that's what you got to do.
Yeah. Was there anybody back at that time when you came on, like during that growth period, that was, I guess was there any one person that was kind of like, hey, no, like we're good here. This is comfortable, versus was there anybody, maybe you, that was like, hey, we need to get on this rocket ship and go and push the growth.
Instigator? Yeah.
No, I think that was all of us. I think
you guys
we were all
in team.
So Bjork Construction in like 1992 was doing $40 million. Okay?
Really? Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
So you've been there. Okay.
So we were there. I wasn't there. My mom was there.
Right.
She was there. And then we hit this downturn. And I think I was depressed coming out of college. And I was like, the couple of years after, I felt like it just took forever. So I was ready to actually make some money.
Right.
I think for me personally, I wanted to see money in my bank account. And I think everybody that worked there did. So we were all really driven to make this work and be this company that we all knew we could.
Very cool. So what's the future look like for you guys? What's the next 3, 5, 7 years?
I'm looking to grow. We're all looking to grow.
Do you have a number in mind is it a certain revenue number, or is it an efficiency threshold, or what is it?
I would like to see us hit 35 to 40 million within the next 2 to 5 years. I'd like to see me even go past that, beyond that. I'd like us to get bigger and grow. I think as a company, I always say Bjork Construction supports the small man, because, there's a lot of smaller developers. There's a lot of people that can build things to make money off of, but there's never really that contractor for them. There's always like Level 10 or Turner, and you don't go to them to build a small office building or renovate. So I feel that we are that. And we've been trying to focus on that a lot more. We're starting to do a lot more design build, bring, that in. And I think that we want to be that for the up and coming, I guess I could say.
Yeah. So, I mean, that growth, are you looking at expanding your network and in your area, your footprint, or is it looking at different verticals and different, silos of construction?
We work all over California, so we're going to stay in California. But it's more of getting us out there and known to, I guess, more clients. Right. I'd like to get out and see more clients. I feel that there's a lot of contractors out there that are just looking at you as a one-time job. And I want to you always hear that stigma, right? Oh, that contractor, they're always pieces of shit. Like they're bad. They're going to change order you to death. I want to show people that we're not all bad. We're not all seeing you as that one-time job. We're seeing you as a future that, hey, we do this for you. Maybe your friend does something later. I want you to think of Bjork Construction. So for me, it's expanding our clientele. It's letting our current clientele, the knowing that we can do these things now. How can we grow with you? Because our clients are growing as well, and we want to grow with them. So it's that's how I see us growing regionally. I don't want to leave California.
Yeah. Are there deliberate steps you guys have in place to develop those relationships and become that
we actually have our ownership meeting next week, and that's where we go through our vision plan for the next couple of years, and we put down our benchmarkers that we need to hit. So
this was breaking news. This is exclusive. The rest of the company doesn't even know about your plan to grow yet, right?
No.
Breaking news. Just kidding.
Yes. And that's, so we set those benchmarks and we set certain things in place, and we do a check-in to make sure we're meeting them, or we realize, hey, this isn't working. It's pivot. We've failed a lot. We're not going to say we haven't, but like I said, we pivot very well.
Very cool. Well, we appreciate the time, Jessica. It's been awesome. Thanks so much.
Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for those developers that might be listening to our podcast. How do the people find you?
BjorkConstruction.com, or you can always just shoot me an email at Jessica@BjorkConstruction.
Awesome. Very cool. We appreciate it again. Thanks so much. Keep in touch. Again, you got those contractors, the high mods, send them our way. We'll help them out. That's what we do. I
will.
Shameless plug. We'll put it down there in the video. But yeah, keep in touch. We appreciate it, and stay safe out there.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jessica. Have a good one. You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Hey, thanks for listening. And if you've made it this far, go ahead and give us a like or 5 stars or whatever means you like us.
Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss our next episode. And check out our website for more video content and extras.
While you're there, shoot us a message if you want to be a guest. We'd love to have you on.
Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.